Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Aesop. I like films, and recently my interest was piqued by Audrey Hepburn, who is considered one of the greats of Western cinema. Throughout her limited filmography, a few of her movies have earned the classic label, but I don't know why. So I decided to watch Roman Holiday. This film is about a princess named Anne, who is exhausted from her royal obligations in Rome. After throwing a fit for which she is given drugs, she soon escapes the palace. Next, we meet a struggling journalist, Joe Bradley, who, while going home, sees, oh look, it's Princess Anne. Anyway, he takes her home because 1950s and women on the streets at night don't go well together. The next day at his office, he realizes that the lady he brought home was the princess. So, he makes a bet with his boss to get an exclusive interview with her. Joe goes home and lies to her about his identity, and so does the princess. He tells the princess to take a day off to wind down, like a holiday. A Roman holiday. They spend the day exploring Rome with Joe's friend Irving secretly taking pictures, and at night go dancing on a barge. Suddenly, the palace guards show up, there's a fight, and then they escape by jumping into the river. When they come up to the shore, they laugh about it and share a kiss. Not because it was that funny or anything, but because they are in love. After making things awkward, Joe drives her to the palace. They share one last kiss and bid farewell. The next day, Joe and Irving attend the press event where Princess Anne addresses the journalist. They meet one last time, now as their true selves. Irving slips her the photos of her and Joe disguised as commemorative keepsakes. She accepts them, takes one final look at Joe, and walks away. Everyone leaves the hall until only Joe remains. He slowly walks away, his footsteps echoing through the grand room as the film ends on a bittersweet note. This is the story. I saw this film and the first thing I thought was, why did it win an Oscar? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad film, but is it really that good of a film? The movie runs for about 2 hours and has a clear, coherent structure, I give it that. The only plotline fault I can think of is Joe promised to get an interview for his bet, but all he ended up with were some pictures which would have been scandalous, sure, but not exactly an interview. The other odd thing was, why did this fat guy kiss her while everybody acted like it was a normal occurrence? And it was not like a peck, it was like a kiss. You know what I'm saying? It was like one level below making out. Joe's a cuck. Anyway, the film is listed as a romantic comedy, however the comedy mostly consists of spilling and breaking things on comedic reliefs. Not exactly the knee slappers I was expecting. A much bigger problem lies with the romantic part because it's almost non-existent. The only hint of romance I remember seeing was during the dance on the barge, and that was about an hour and a half into the film. It also doesn't help that these events take place over the course of a single day, which makes it even harder to believe that these two characters genuinely developed affection for each other this quickly. Even during the parts meant to show them growing closer, all we really get are travel montages of eating, drinking, visiting tourist spots. So it feels oddly abrupt when the kiss happens on the shore. During my first viewing I let it go, but the more I thought about it, the more unnatural it felt to me. As if the story hadn't truly earned its romance. It feels like a lot of its runtime was wasted establishing background instead of interpersonal connection. Contrast that to one of my favorite romantic films, Before Sunrise. It also tells a story of love developing over a single day. However, the romance there feels much more compelling because from the very beginning, we are introduced to both characters. Their interaction starts right away and continues until the end, giving their chemistry time to breathe. Roman Holiday instead nearly takes 20 minutes before the first two leads even meet, and the real conversation doesn't start until around the 45-minute mark. Before Sunrise is a film built entirely on the interaction between two people. Roman Holiday, on the other hand, feels like watching an edited travel montage where the characters just happen to exist. So, why is this film held in such a high regard? I believe it's because of some kind of halo effect Audrey Hepburn has on people. When I look up her interviews or talk show appearances, the comment section supports my theory. They are talking about her elegance, grace, and sweetness, comparing her to modern celebrities. People, for the lack of a better term, are simping for a woman who is in her 60s and dead. They use words like fabulous, sophisticated, praising her body language and charm, but very few mention her craft, very few. If I look up interviews of actors I personally consider great, I'll find comments discussing specific performances or moments that stuck with them. But with Audrey Hepburn, people seem to find poetic ways to say, she's cute. That sort of summarizes my view of this film and of Audrey Hepburn. I'm not saying she's a bad actor. but she's not particularly great either. After watching a few of her films, I actually found her really good in Wait Until Dark and Always, the latter being one of her later works and one of my favorite appearances from her. So yes, she has done good films, but there are bad ones too. You can go on YouTube, search for Charade, watch just 5 minutes of it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. She might have made some great films, but for me, Roman Holiday isn't one of them. That's all. Thank you to anyone watching this video. Thank you for giving me time of your day. Thank you and goodbye.